The ballot measures include Proposition 1, provides housing assistance to expand affordable housing stock. Appropriates general fund revenues to pay off bonds for existing programs that have no revenues or insufficient revenues. Authorizes $4 billion of state general obligation bonds to fund existing affordable housing programs. Those in support, support allows the state to sell $4 billion in general obligation bonds. Opposition, the state could not sell $4 billion in general obligation bonds. Position from other entities along with city department position. League of Women Voters are supportive. League of California Cities is supportive. South Bay City Council of Government support. City Department, Community Development, no position. The committee's position is concur with the City Department recommendation of taking no position. Does anybody wish to discuss a specific item, Proposition 1? Seeing none. Proposition number, or should I, that's the way we should do it, right? So we should do a motion to, okay. So this time I'll take a motion to take no position on Proposition 1.
Move to concur with committee recommendation.
If I may, you may want to let the public speak before you.
I think I did that. I asked if anybody wished to be heard.
I just thought there was a list of people, so I didn't know if they all understood that.
Well, I have no idea what the list is. I'm asking people if they wish to be heard.
Move to concur with the committee recommendation to take no position on Proposition 1.
I'll second that.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Proposition 2, using mental health dollars for low-income housing. Authorizes bonds to fund existing housing programs. Ratifies existing law establishing the No Place Like Home program. Ratifies issuance of up to $2 billion in previously authorized bonds to finance the No Place Like Home program. Amends the Mental Health Services Act to authorize transfers of up to $140 million annually from the existing Mental Health Services Fund with no increases in taxes. Support would mean the state could use existing county mental health funds to pay for housing for those with mental illness who are homeless. The opposition would be the state's ability to use existing county mental health funds to pay for housing for those who are mentally ill and homeless would depend on future court decisions. Position from other entities along with City Department position. League of Women Voters supports. League of California Cities supports. South Bay Cities Council of Government supports. City Department Community Development takes no position. The committee's position concur with the recommendation of the City Department of no position. Does anybody on the council wish to discuss Proposition 2? Seeing none. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? I see no one. I'll take a motion to concur with the committee's recommendations. Motion to concur with the committee's recommendation.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Proposition 3, Supply and Water Quality Bond Act of 2018. This proposition authorizes bonds to fund projects for water supply and quality, watershed, fish, wildlife, water conveyance, and groundwater sustainability and storage. Appropriates money from the general fund to pay off bonds. Gives priority to disadvantaged communities. Authorizes $8.877 billion in state general obligation bonds for infrastructure projects. Support. If supported, the state could sell $8.9 billion in general obligation bonds to fund water and environmental projects. If it's opposed, the state could not sell $8.9 billion in general obligation bonds to fund various water and environmental projects. Position from other entities and the City Department position. League of Women Voters opposes. League of California Cities supports. South Bay City Council of Government supports. City Department of Public Works supports. Committee's position support with a vote of 2 to support and 1 to oppose. council questions, Councilmember Goodrich.
I just wanted to say that I am a little bit concerned about the issuance of another bond when it probably should be funded from general fund money by the state. But my first and foremost responsibility is to the city, and we have a number of projects that could qualify under this, so I'll be voting in favor.
Any other council wish to be heard? Councilmember Herring.
Yes, I voted to oppose this. I still continue to oppose any further funding projects by the state. Would support rather, if we had to go down this road, that the city would look at doing something within the city where the city would then have more control over its funds.
Thank you, Councilmember Rizzo.
Your Honor, this question is for staff because Councilman Goodrich just mentioned that there were some projects that we might be eligible for with this sort of bond money. Mr. Bessie, if you could elaborate on that for me, please.
Sure, Rob Esty, Public Works. Yeah, over the past several years, Torrance has been very successful with the various funding from the state for projects, specifically our groundwater development projects. As you know, we've expanded the Goldsworthy desalter recently with the Water Replenishment District, and we received about $7 million in grants for that. Right now, we're currently in the process of constructing the North Torrance Wellfield project. We recently received $3 million in bond money for that project. Coming up, we actually have several other groundwater projects we want to do in the city. One is to another partnership potentially with the Water Replenishment District and maybe the city of LA and some other entities on building another desalter. And essentially what that project does is it cleans up the saltwater plume that's under our feet, unfortunately. We sucked in saltwater over the years previously. And so it cleans that up and it becomes usable water, and that'll be eligible for this type of funding. We're also looking at projects that would allow us to take and capture stormwater essentially and put it into the ground. And that's one of the projects we're looking at the airport, and it would be eligible for this type of funding. Because Torrance has been so successful over the past several years in obtaining this type of funding, it's really allowed us to maintain our water rates at a very reasonable level, and that's why we support this.
Thank you for that. So my thinking on this, and the question Councilman Herring asked, is he believes that perchance if we handle this at the local level and sold our own bonds to fund these projects, would that have a direct impact on the rates that we would be charging for water?
Well,
or a
actually,
possibility of an impact on our rates?
well, when we work with our finance department, we look at various types of ways to fund various projects. Obviously, this type of money coming in allows us to offset the overall cost of each project that we do. So it probably has a positive effect on our rates, keeping them lower. But what we do look at is the life cycle of the project. And for instance, if it's a project that's going to last 40, 50 years, we often do look at financing options to spread those costs over many years so that there's not a big impact in the short term. So and it makes it more fair to people because the projects last so long. But in general, because our projects score very well and are eligible for this type of funding, we've been able to reduce our costs to our residents for our water rates, specifically because of these funding measures that have been passed over the past several years.
Mr. Sal, you were kind of nodding your head when he went up and gave that explanation. So.
There's a few things. One, if the money's coming from the state's general, basically they're going to issue bonds and then we apply for competitively for the grant monies, it'd be absorbed by the full general fund of the state. That could come back to haunt us, as if they run out of general fund monies, they'll come back and try to take some of the city's revenues. So then we would see the impact there. However, if we issue bonds out of the water enterprise fund, so to speak, for a specific project, that would cause us to have an annual debt service to repay that. which would be probably more than the grant money that we receive from the state.
So there would be a strong likelihood that our water rates would have to go up to cover a lot of that.
Possibly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ray?
This question is for staff. Could you help me, within the last year, has there been any water-related tax bonds or is anything coming up on this upcoming ballot that might impact increase in our tax dollars?
In the past year, is it?
A couple of years.
There have been water bonds in the past. We've had, over the course of several years, we've had Prop 50, Prop 84, and Prop 1, that has provided various amounts of funding for water projects throughout the state. There hasn't been any in the last year or so. There are continued regulations with regard to water cleanup and water quality or regulations that have affected our costs. But there's not been a funding measure in the past year or so.
Are there any developments within the state for water projects that's going to be passed on to the consumers that you know of that's in the pipeline?
Well, there's always water projects going on, whether it's moving water, fixing Oroville Dam, as we've seen when that collapsed, that's turning into a couple $2 billion project. All of those things have rate impacts. Maintaining infrastructure for moving water, treating water, pumping water, all has cost. As the Metropolitan Water District is looking right now into building the twin tunnels, which will convey water to Southern California, essentially, that has a rate impact too. So, I mean, there's several projects in the mix statewide. But as this is such a very large economy and lots of people, you're looking at rate impacts. For instance, on the Twin Tunnel, they say it's about $5 a month or so as a rate impact. And not that it's not an expensive project, but it's paid out over large amounts of rate. But there are other projects that the state is, or there are happening in the state at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Griffin?
Thank you also for Mr. Bestie. Obviously, we've had great success with funding through grants for various water projects that we have completed here in the city. Do you have any feeling are there already pools of money that we could apply for grants without this for our future water projects? Or is all that grant money dried up for water projects and this is required to?
Dried up.
Yeah, to fill that, yeah, I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Actually, within Prop 1, there is one more round of funding that we're going to be applying for. It's not going to be a huge amount for this area, but we're going to apply for a project. In fact, we're going to apply under that for the airport project. If that wasn't successful under that round, we would look to additional funding from this. So there are some pools of money, but most of them aren't as related to our projects. For instance, there was a portion out of Prop 1 and Prop 84, if you recall. It was the IRWMP program, which was specific to actually having the state issue bond money, but the local agencies got to decide where that money would go. And that program is not in this current bill, but it was in the previous bills.
And then things, projects like the desalter, was that money that we got through grants, or was that money that WRD got?
It was actually money that we got and WRD got through the same proposition, actually in the same round of funding. But they actually used the city of Torrance, to get it. And then on the North Torrance well field, we were able to get that through the city of Torrance. I don't know if you recall, also in addition, we did the, basin project. We got about over $4 million for that project too, which was another kind of water cleanup project for the Amy, Henrietta, and Metrodale Basin. So that was another grant we received, and that was also probably for funding.
Thank you for sharing all that information.
I think the one thing I've learned in sitting up here and being with the city is you learn an awful lot about water from Mr. Bessie. He has educated me way more than I ever expected to know about water. And one of the things I did notice when I moved to California many, many years ago, it is a desert, and water is always going to be an issue here. Water delivery, water quality, protection of our watersheds is clearly a problem. Something that's ongoing, and I think we're so very fortunate to have such a robust water department. We provide water for 75 to 80% of our citizens at a rate that's less. I did a survey, it was about 50% less than the surrounding cities and other cities throughout Los Angeles County. And it's because of the progressiveness through the Public Works Department, specifically our water department, to get that the money that we're due. Because we have a way of extracting water, and I think our vision for the future to go to closer to full water independence is, I think, a very progressive attitude, considering that most of the water in Southern California is delivered here from either Northern California or the Colorado River by aqueduct, which are obviously subjective or could be subjected to earthquakes and earth movements and just age itself. So I really appreciate all the work that Public Works does, and I respect the city's recommendation to support this, because I believe it will benefit our.
Okay,
Please don't touch the microphone.
no problem, I understand. Rare that I see, I'm actually in agreement with the League of Women Voters on this one. I think bonds are, as Mr. Goodrich said, are spectacular. They bring on a lot of debt. You're ending up, this is hitting everybody in the state. There are a lot of arguments I've heard, actually, tax advocates. This hurts everybody. Everyone ends up paying for this. And the debt ends up being twice the original money that was brought in. It's wasteful, it's extravagant. We have so much fraud and abuse from the state legislature. I think it's wrong to seek more debt. I was hoping that I'd be agreeing with Mr. Goodrich entirely, but I only can agree with the first half of what he said. I think it's wrong. I think we need to stop with this bond nonsense. I think we need to pull back. I think we need to allow the city of Torrance to take care of itself as much as possible and stop just having this excessive amount of service of debt. It's getting out of control. We have $1 trillion debt just with the pension issues. I mean, where does it stop? And we know that a lot of this money in the state of California is not spent well. I mean, honestly, we have a state legislature that should be reflecting our prudence rather than us trying to give them more money. I think we should get rid of that, stop having this middleman with the state legislature, which is wasteful and corrupt. I think it should be opposed. No more bonds, please.
Anybody else wish to hear? I'll take a motion. Move to concur with the committee recommendation. Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion fails with council members Chen, Griffith, Herring, and Mr. voting no.
Thank you. Next one is proposition number 5, property tax relief to senior citizens and disabled persons. Changes requirements for certain property owners to transfer their property tax base to replacement property. Removes current requirements for homeowners who are over 55 years old or severely disabled. That replacement property will be of equal or lesser value. Replacement resident will be in a specific county, and the transfer occurs only once. Remove similar replacement value and location requirements on transfers for contaminated or disaster destroyed property. requires adjustments to the replacement property's tax base based on the new property's value. Support, all homeowners, if it's supported, all homeowners who are over the age of 55 or meet other qualifications will be eligible for property tax savings when they move to different homes. Opposition means certain homeowners who are over the age of 55 or who meet other qualifications would continue to be eligible for property tax savings when they move to a different home. Position from other entities and our city department. League of Women Voters is to oppose. South Bay City Council appointment, no position. City Department Finances, take no position. The committee's position concurs with the motion based on the recommendation of the Finance Department. Anybody from the council have any questions or wish to be heard? Seeing no one. Anybody from the public wish to be heard?
Yes, Arthur Shopper again. This is a no-brainer. You should absolutely support this. I mean, okay, I won't qualify. I'm not yet. Some people might think I am, but this is an absolute no-brainer. I mean, we want to help homeowners as much as possible, especially here in the city of Torrance. You know, I think it's just common economic sense. I mean, when you lower the tax burden for individuals, there ends up more money in the coffers. I mean, the president's tax reform package is not only, we've seen the market rocket considerably, we've seen more people keeping money, and that money gets spent, it gets invested, cities are doing well, I imagine too. I guess this also ends with a question. The staff gives a position. I would imagine that a city council member could make a motion to support this. If you can, I would encourage the city council to do that. Let's give our homeowners another break. I don't see why not. It's a no-brainer to me.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I'll take a motion. Councilmember Herman.
I'd like to have staff, talk about the impact that if this proposition is passed, the impact that it would have, on the residents of Torrance.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
suggest that, Eric Stuff from the Finance Department. I guess there are a few things to look at. One is basically it extends or expands the program to freeze someone who's over 55 who buys another house. Right now, it's currently, if you buy another house of equal value or less, your property tax is grandfathered in. This would expand it to if you buy even a more expensive house. Torrance receives about 13 cents on the dollar for property tax. We don't think it's going to be a real impact to the city of Torrance for several reasons. One is our population tends to move here at a relatively some age and stay here for a long period of time. So we're not seeing we're not really considered a retirement community like Palm Springs or Florida or some other states where people would sell their current house and move to Palm Springs. So those communities would be much more affected than us. We don't think Torrance will see any really a real impact in our revenue stream from property tax, because also we're on a $30 billion valuation. And also, I guess it also comes up, and people would argue that, you know, because of Prop 13, whether you're for it or against it, basically it's the equality of services. Someone who bought their house in 1950 something for a Southwood home probably paid $2,000 for it. Now it's going for close to $900,000. So, but they're receiving the same services. And so the question is there equity in that service delivery when one person's paying a fraction of the other? And that's always been a debate in California regarding Prop 13. So the other thing is that I would need to mention that this does affect the school district more than it does the city, because the school districts and schools receive the lion's share of property tax, and it's closer to 50% compared to our 13%.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Move to concur with the, committee's, no position.
Second?
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries. The council may please vote no.
Thank you. We've been here for 2 hours, and we're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Okay, so you heard what they said. 5-minute break. Okay.
Okay, if everybody take your seats, we're going to call the meeting back to order. And go on to composition. Repeal of the recently enacted state transportation funds.
Please.
Eliminates certain road repair and transportation funding. Repeals a 2017 transportation laws tax and fee provisions that pay for repairs and improvements to roads, highways, and public transportation. Requires legislature to submit any measure enacting specified taxes and fees on gas or diesel or on the privilege to operate a vehicle on public highway to the voters for approval. Support will be fuel and vehicle taxes recently passed by the legislature will be eliminated, and this will reduce funding for highway and road maintenance and repairs to include transit program. Opposed. Fuel and vehicle taxes recently passed by the legislature will continue to be in effect and pay for highway and road maintenance and repairs and transit program. The legislature will continue to not need voter approval for new or increased state fuel and vehicle taxes in the future. Positions of other entities. League of Women Voters, opposed. League of California Cities is opposed. South Bay City Council of Governments is to oppose. Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce is to oppose. And the City Department of Public Works also is to oppose. Committee's position was to oppose with a vote of 1 to support and 2 to oppose. Anybody from the council wish to? Councilmember Goodrich.
Public Works, if you could discuss the impact of this if SB 6 was to be, would repeal the gas tax funding.
God.
Once again, a lot of that to do with Public Works. Specifically for Torrance, Proposition, or SB 1 allows us to get about $2.5 million a year that we're going to get over the course of the life of the SB 1 to use for road repaving. One of the things that we don't have in most of our transportation taxes that we've done recently, if you recall Measure R and Measure M, is those projects are very good for allowing us to build new projects that improve capacity. And we're working on projects such as the off-ramp of the 405 and Crenshaw, that type of thing. But it doesn't allow us to have any maintenance money. So right now we do get some gas tax, and with this enhanced amount of gas tax, we're able to pave more property, more streets in the city of Torrance. In addition, SB1 actually has a lot of money for Caltrans that they've used in our area. For instance, as you know, Hawthorne Boulevard recently was repaved from the mall down to the South City limit, or down to Pacific Coast Highway, and that was all done because of SB1 money. Working with the COG, we were doing a Measure R project that was the 110 auxiliary lane. Now, if you recall, like as you come down 110, right by the 405, it backs up all the time, and they're actually adding an auxiliary lane. And that's actually being funded by SB1. It was a project that was a Measure R project that we had, that we were able to get full funding for that from SB1. In addition, Caltrans right now is working on a plan to reconstruct all of Pacific Coast highways in the entire length of the South Bay Cog, which will obviously incorporate all the areas in Torrance. One of the things that we're making sure that they include is, you know, that area, especially on PCH, as you go to the west of South High, there's just no pedestrian walkway there. A lot of kids walking the street. It's been an area that we've been working with Caltrans for years, trying to get them to fund some improvements there, and that's actually being included as part of this reconstruction project. So it's very important for the kids, especially at South High, who walk that direction, and that's being funded by SB1. So there's quite a few Caltrans related projects in our area, but also the long-term funding.
Green Line connection to our.
And yes, I will get to that. The Green Line project has another $231 million in funding. As we go right now they're looking at a couple of alignments to get the green line to Torrance. So there's a funding shortfall as they're trying to work with the city of Orlando, for instance, they're probably gonna have to lower that track. That's assuming they take that alignment to get it through Lawndale. So that's an important piece for getting the green line to Torrance, which, as we know, transportation capacity, whether it be on roads or through rail, needs to really be improved in our area. So that's a key piece to SB1. Just in general, the gas tax obviously hasn't been raised in many, many years. And as fuel economy standards get higher and higher, there's really just less money for roads, and it just hasn't had an adjustment. As I said in the committee, I think this is probably a stopgap for some time, because there's gonna be new funding sources that have to come for roads as we look at vehicle miles traveled. I mean, this has a small provision of electric vehicles, but it does take in that some of the electric vehicles don't really pay to use the roads at all. So I think there's gonna be some other mechanisms in the future for funding for roads. This is really something to just make an adjustment to a gas tax that has, once again, been adjusted since I think it was the early 90s.
Any other questions from Councilmember Matucci?
Thank you. Before SB1, where do we get our funding as a city?
Funding
For roads, I mean, for road repairs, curbs, sidewalks.
we do get gas tax still, there is a portion of gas tax. And we do get funding, from Proposition C, and, sometimes, the city gets Proposition A money that we can transfer, to use for roadways. But that's essentially the majority of it, we use general fund money for roadways, but from outside funding sources, it's mostly gas tax and Proposition. And Proposition C can be used on roadways that have, transit lines on it.
Okay, and also, this is more of a financial question. Is it a dollar per dollar? So for every dollar of tax that's spent, Prop 1 tax that's spent in Torrance, are we getting $1 back, or is it just a small percentage? Do we have that calculation? I know it's relatively new.
I do not know the answer offhand. We can research that.
I mean, I think the gentleman had.
Was your question about SB $1?
Yes, in other words, SB $1 that are spent in Torrance, are 100% of those coming back, or do you have to request for them back, or apply for them?
So the SB $1 are 50-50 split between the state and local government. So for each dollar that is collected in SB 1 funds, 50 cents of that goes to the state for state highways and roads, 50 cents of that goes to local cities, based on a formula of population.
And Mr. King, there's also the provision to give some of the state dollars back, part of the 50% that goes to the state. My understanding is that can also be returned to the city through the.
Well, that gets back to the various projects that Caltrans is doing in our area. We're getting that money back in our area as a local project to our area, funded by Caltrans or from the state, similar to giving that $231 million for the green line extension.
Yeah, it's okay not to, I mean,
I think the councilman's question was the money that's generated in the city of Torrance, what percentage is returned to the city? And off the top of my head, we do not know, because basically I think SB 1 is not per capita distribution based on the 50% getting back to the cities.
That answers my question.
Councilmember Hearn.
This is along the same line, maybe Mr. Kearing can help with this, or staff. You have a projected revenue, how much SB 1 will generate, and over what period of time will SB 1 be in effect?
Either one of us can take it. I think you mentioned it. This year, I believe the city of Torrance received about $1 million, because it wasn't a complete, well, I should say 17-18 year, because it only started in, November, and some of the implementation of that does ramp up over time. In 18-19 fiscal year, the city of Torrance is scheduled to receive about $2.5 million in just SB1 dollars. And you have to think about SB1, more or less double the amount of transportation infrastructure funding that you as a city were receiving.
No, but the question is not only the city of Torrance, but for the entire state.
$5 billion is
It's about
yes,
$5 billion
annually.
annually
Over 10 years.
over
10 years.
5 billion over 10 years. Okay. I was one, I voted to support the repeal of SB 1. And one of the reasons is because I'm glad that there was enough signatures that we generated in order to bring this to the voters as opposed to our legislators in Sacramento approving this. And so I would like to, I'm grateful that the voters will have an opportunity to vote yea or nay on this. This is quite a huge tax increase. And again, I believe that it will, as I said earlier, impact those who can probably least afford it. We're looking at gas prices continuing to go up already. We're having some problems looking at seeing some things happening with our local refinery. We are pushing almost $4 a gallon for gas. Recently, I was back east traveling and was just very pleasantly surprised that I was able to look at gasoline for maybe $2.15, 50 cents a gallon. So already in California, we are paying for, again, rightfully so, so many opportunities that we enjoy with the environment that we're living in. But this is continuing. So add on to taxes that we are paying, and at some point, we ask for, where is the top? Where do we top out? How much is enough? $5 billion for 10 years, and still we're going to have problems with our infrastructure. Still, we're looking for federal government, towards our federal government for assistance. Still, we're looking for our local city government to invest in our infrastructure. So, who's the responsible person in all of this? And that's not a question for you, Mr. Gibbon. Just expressing my sentiments.
If I may, just to address some of what you were saying, there have been a lot of phony numbers, frankly, that have been put out there by the Yes campaign, that we're calling them the Carl Denial doozies. The independent legislative analyst of California, when this passed, they estimated that the average Californian would pay less than $10 a month towards SB1. So that goes a long way towards fixing our infrastructure, especially when you consider that study after study that have come out, just one in August and one in the previous year, have shown that driving on the roadways in California costs you so much more money, not only in your wasted time, and especially if you were involved in a traffic accident, even just the idling your car, wasting gas that way, but replacing the tires and struts and things on your vehicle that break due to hitting potholes costs you much more money. It's estimated that that number is actually at $921 just specifically to LA metro area annually by the TRIP report. It's a National Transportation Research Group. So you're looking at much more money if you don't actually work to fix the roads now and continue to drive on them. And that'll impact anybody. If people who can least afford, who are traveling the longer distances, that's going to impact them more. Public safety is really what's important.
Councilmember Griffin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just my comments on this one is that I fully support these projects that SB1 money would be used to pay for, but I think it's a matter of priorities, and I think our state has made decisions that were not good and utilized that money that should have gone to our neglected roads and hasn't. And I also blame our cities as well. The cities that everyone's at fault for neglecting our roads for far too long, and I think they've diverted that money for other reasons and so forth. And I think that this type of a tax really hurts the people who can really least afford it. I can't support this kind of a tax.
That's right.
Anything else, Jeff?
I would only add that I think you should sit up and take notice when labor and chambers of commerce all get on the same page along with local government. Your local FDACC is opposing this Proposition 6. Health Chamber is opposing Proposition 6. Building trades are opposing Proposition 6. And 6,500 projects would be halted if SB1 was repealed. And if 170 some odd bridges in LA County are structurally deficient. And these are real public safety hazards that we should be fixing for the next earthquake or before the next flood. We really do need to maintain our infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to?
Hi, I'd just like to chip in, you should remember that he mentioned a $921 savings from the trip report. I think it's really important to keep in mind. Intuitively, it's gonna save more money than whatever savings on gas we get, although I don't have the data points on hand. So I would just say, we don't wanna take away our bridge and road repair funds, so no on 6. Thank you.
Could I have your name, please?
Tim.
Do you want to go? You go. Go.
I hear a lot of Torrance people complain about the lack of jobs and the traffic here. And I say SB1, the gas tax, it's an investment, whether we like it or not. We should explore how many good union jobs can be formed with the investment from the gas tax, as well as how much we can save in car repairs. And not only that, the recall of California Senator Josh Newman, that was under false pretenses. Because the people who were gathering signatures for that petition, they were saying, oh, it's to repeal the gas tax. But it was really just to get him out of office so they can make that district red. So you know what, I really don't trust anybody who wants to, who's in support of Proposition 6. Thank you.
All right. I knew this was going to be the doozy. She moved it, so I'm moving it back. She moved it. Okay, give me a break. Yeah. Hey, we had some. Okay, I'm worried about that. We are taxed to death in this state, okay? The Tea Party movement, taxed enough already, okay? This is just like, it's like, how much more blood can you suck out of us? Really? Yeah, I mean, gas is already like $4 a gallon, and it's creeping that way even here. We've got the refinery behind us, and the gas is going through the roof. Now, this is the one time I'm going to mention this, and this is going to be a real shocker. Like Mr. Goodrich and I almost agreed on something. Now, I listened to a politician, and she represents, oh, damn it, I gave it away. Damn. All right. She represents Torrance. Sorry about that. She represents Torrance, and she said, the moment that you see the Chamber of Commerce on one side and the labor unions coming together, that's precisely when you don't support them. Her name, Maxine Waters. She said exactly that at the airport when Henry Waxman, the previous congressman, was bending over for all these special interests to try to expand the LAX airport at the expense of all the homeowners. Maxine Waters, I can't believe this. This is the one time I'm going to say something good about her. I promise it'll be the one time. The fact that you've added the Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce up there kind of sickens me, because the previous slides didn't mention the Torrance Chamber, as if that's supposed to make me more likely to support this. Sometimes we call them the Chamber of Compromise. They're not supporting small businesses. It's an entity that's almost croning on its own. And I don't speak against every single member of it. There are good people who are in the Chamber of Commerce, but as an entity, as a whole, they're not the city. They're not the citizens. They're not the ones, by and large, who are, pardon my English, getting screwed at the pump. Enough already. No, we should be supporting yes on 6, absolutely. And this is how much I've committed to this. Yes on 6, please. We're hurting in this state. We are the highest taxed as it is, as Councilman Herring said, and it's gotten worse. I mean, at the very least, the council can reject this proposal. Again, I'm asking, I'd like to see a member of this council offer a counter motion that we support Prop 6. Enough's enough. It is absolutely disproportionately hurting poor people. It's enough. It's hurting everybody in the middle income too. Enough already. And there's plenty of money. That is a lie. You want to talk about Carl DeMaio whoppers? Let's talk about the Chamber of Commerce and the Labor Union whoppers. We want more of your money so we could spend it on crony projects. Enough. Yes on 6. I'm hoping this is going to be the topmost. People are going to come out in droves. Democrat, Republican, and Independent. Vote yes on 6. I don't care which camera is looking at this. Yes on 6. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a quick question. I probably should have come up on number 1 when it came up, but when we do, you have 3 options when you guys are doing this, and you're actually voting on, is it what the committee position is?
Yes.
And we saw that there was a reversal. A majority of people said no to something, but we don't know what that means, right? So it means that it's either you agree, it's opposed, support, or no position. So I was wondering, what does it mean when any of these doesn't pass? Should there be another motion to find out what the other 4 people would have turned it into, like,
Yeah.
where it does pass? It's more of a logic kind of question. Does that make sense?
You're coming to government looking for logic?
Another reason to say yes on 6.
Yeah, well, does it mean like no decision, or do you actually get a position out of it?
I would say it's a no position.
Is that what that means, no position?
Um,
Because 4 people might have had an agreeing position, that would have been a majority on any of these items.
City attorney, chime in.
Please.
Yeah, the motion on number 3 was a motion to support, and that failed. So that essentially makes it no position. There was no substitute motion made to do an opposed, so it stays as no position.
Is that what everyone meant by that, to walk away?
They didn't make another motion, so.
Okay. But just going forward, I should have come up way earlier. I saw this one there, I'm sorry, so. Thank you.
All right. I tried.
Anybody else?
My name is James Henry. I support Proposition 6. State of California already pays, before this, the highest gas tax in the country. Before this was passed, now we're being paying more. Another thing, is it really guaranteed that the money's gonna be spent on roads, repairs, and improvements? They say it is. Is it really? Has it been in the past? I don't think so. I don't know where you guys,
Mr. Henry, you have to
I don't
talk
know
to us.
where he got his figures from.
Mr. Henry, direct everything up here.
Okay.
To the audience.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Prop 69, which was just passed, actually precludes the state from putting any of this money any other place but on roads and bridges. Transportation.
Oh, good, that's what 69 says, but is that really what it does? Have you looked into it? Yeah, legal. I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
Wait, you know, nothing's gonna change your mind, so, what, rhetorically state?
Don't interrupt me. How about Caltrans?
How about Caltrans?
Yeah, are they, really legitimate? Do they overspend? Do you watch out for our money? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of overspending, high salaries going. As far as this gentleman telling me, our calculations are a lie, his calculations are a lie.
That's not.
I don't know where he gets his figures from, and I want him to back it up, writing how they calculated it. I think his full figures It's a political organization, especially interest group. Therefore, another thing, where's the money gonna go? Well, very grounds for the train, is that where it's gonna go? No. So how do you know that? You don't know that?
Yes, it will.
I agree with the councilman here on this matter. I congratulate you for standing up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Take a motion.
I move to, support Proposition 6.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion passed.
Yes. All right, no applause, sorry.
Proposition 10, allows cities to enact rent control and local governments authority to enact rent control on residential property. Repeal state law that currently restricts the scope of rent control policies that cities and local jurisdictions can take. Allows policies that would limit the rental rates that businesses and property can charge for new tenants new construction in single-family homes. Provides that rent control policies may not violate landlords' rights to a fair financial return on their rental property according to California law. Support would mean the state law would not limit the kinds of rent control laws cities and counties could have. Opposition means the state law would continue to limit the kinds of rent control laws cities and counties could have. Positions of other entities, Legal Women Voters supports, South Bay Council of Governments, no position, Torrance Area Chamber opposes, City Department, Community Development takes no position. Committee's position was to oppose. Anybody from the council wish to be heard? Councilmember.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Again, I would ask staff to explain what impact this would have for the residents of the city of Torrance, one way or the other, passed or not.
Jeff Gibson, Community Development Department, we do not have control in the city of Torrance, it does affect us.
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Any other council questions? Comments? Seeing none, anybody from the public wish to be heard?
Okay, as a matter, I didn't touch it this time. I didn't have to. Okay, see, you know, I agree with the Torrance Chamber this time. I wish if it should have been consistent then, if you're going to be referencing the Torrance Chamber. But at any rate, I, with all due respect to the staff, my father worked for the city of Torrance. I have a lot of respect for the staff in general. But I think this is, if Prop 10 passes, it is going to affect us one way or another. We're going to see, it's going to make the housing crisis worse, and SB 35, which is bad in itself, isn't going to remedy that. I think it is essential for us to send a signal as a city to voters to reject this. Rent control is a bad idea. We have people, I mean, there are numerous examples I read, like in Thomas Sowell's books. Researching this, you'll have one person living in a flat that has three bedrooms in it, and then you'll have people who are trying to move in and can barely find an apartment because the prices are so high. This is not a good idea, period, economically. On principle, it's a violation of property rights. I think it is in the best interest of the city to go with the committee position, oppose this. I'm glad that the committee opposed it. I think the council should go on record opposing it. Rent control does not help. Rent control will not solve our housing crisis. We need to send that message. The city is sending a good message with Prop 6. Very glad for that. Thank you, Councilman Matucci, for that. Here's another chance to send a really good message. Agree with the committee position. Thank you, Mayor Fury. Thank you, Councilman Goodrich. Thank you, Councilman Herring. Oppose this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim, and I'd like to make clear that, as far as I've read, Proposition 10 does not in of itself implement rent control. And I find it very hypocritical that many so-called libertarians oppose rights for local government as opposed to state government dictating what localities want to do. I don't believe that Torrance would ever implement rent control anyway due to the business community and whatnot, but I think that we could actually use it. I mean, has anyone seen how crazy the apartment prices are? I don't think these economic think tanks that keep on financing these hippies have provided much evidence. They're all really far right, like Chamber of Commerce kind of stuff. So I say no on 10, I'm sorry, yes on 10. It's not about rent control, it's about local control. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gloria, I also find it hypocritical that the city leaders want voters to save money at the gas tank, but they don't want to help them save money with their rent, which is probably a lot more. Not only that, Prop 10 will allow cities to have more control. What is wrong with that? You keep talking about that, and yet you're against this. I don't get this. And I just kind of see this as like Matucci's way of trying to keep people of all income levels out of the city. And I also want to ask Matucci, how come your friend Arthur was with 4 of the white supremacists that were arrested recently?
You're really
Just
way
curious.
off topic.
Way off topic.
Yeah, oops, I got it on record. Okay, sorry. But anyways, I say yes on Prop 10 because you know what? Throughout California, the prices are too high and we need to do something. I talked to an LAPD officer recently who said he can't afford to live in the city he patrols. So he stays in Orange County. And guess what? He's planning to retire in Mexico. So I think if we want to serve our first responders, our teachers, the good citizens of California, we say yes on Proposition 10.
Do I need to move it down?
No.
Don't touch it.
Good afternoon, evening, night. My name is Carol Williams, I'm a resident of the city of Torrance, former past president of the South Bay Association of Realtors. And I'm here to ask you very earnestly to support the recommendation of your advocacy committee. The South Bay Association of Realtors, in conjunction with our state organization, opposed the position of Support 10 for some really critical reasons. Affordable housing and homelessness are both incredibly difficult problems that face all communities in our state. Although rent control may sound like a logical way to stop the high cost of housing, it is not a panacea or a cure, period. Experts from USC, Berkeley, Stanford, all of them, every single one, agree that Prop 10 will drive up rents, it will discourage new construction, and will reduce the availability of affordable and middle-class housing. Even the state's nonpartisan legislative analyst has determined that passage of Prop 10 will discourage new construction, and it will result in existing rental units being taken off the market. Prop 10 will cause property owners to sell outright or convert their existing rental properties into more profitable uses. What might they be? Anything from just tearing them down because they can't make money on them, or possibly even turning them into short-term rentals that they can make money. The state's legislative analyst has also stated that Prop 10 will likely reduce the value of both rental properties and single-family homes, driving down local property tax revenues by hundreds of millions of dollars. That hurts everybody. Declining home prices hurt middle-class families, working-class families, and reduce the funding available for vital services, such as schools, public safety, road repairs, education, and fire safety. Prop 10 puts houses and condos that have never been under rent control before, now under rent control, not just apartments. And they would go under local government rent control, such as they are, such as apartments already are in the cities of Santa Monica or Los Angeles. That is Costa Hawkins being repealed. That's what it does. So no longer can a homeowner rent out a room in their house without it being subject to rent control. And if an owner wants to take a property off of the rental market that they own so that they can move back into it, they can't do it anymore. That is an abridgment of property rights that we cannot move forward on. Prop 10 is a very poorly written bill. Emotionally, you want to do something about the high cost of housing. This doesn't do it. It in no way will achieve its stated goals. And I ask you on behalf of the South Bay Association of Realtors and property owners in the state of California to please oppose Prop 10. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe you should have spoken on the other one, that was a long time ago.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Fred Sutton. I'm with the California Apartment Association. We represent housing providers throughout the state of California here in Torrance, and it's our members who help house the state. I urge this committee and the California Apartment Association urges this body to uphold the committee's opposition to Proposition 10. Without a doubt, California is in a housing crisis and we have a severe housing shortage. But Proposition 10 is not the solution. In fact, it's so deeply flawed, it will undoubtedly lead to less availability and higher prices for an already rent-burdened population. Proposition 10 does not create a single new unit. Not a market rate, not a subsidized affordable, nothing, not a single new unit. It repeals essential housing laws that have helped incentivize and encourage development. Repealing this without a replacement will deter the much-needed housing we need in this state. There's no plan in this to help alleviate homelessness and those that are burdened income-wise, and it can potentially affect municipal tax revenue in the tunes of millions of dollars where rent control expands. There's better solutions that exist. Proposition 10 is not the way forward. It will make the problem so much worse than it already is. There's a large coalition of affordable housing advocates, seniors, veterans, housing providers, and citizens of all walks of life who are urging no on 10. So please, thank you for your time, and respectfully request that this body uphold the committee's position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember, yes, Mr. Sutton.
You have a question, Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Since you say you're representing the apartment owners
Yes.
association,
Yes.
and you said Proposition 10 is not the answer, and you mentioned veterans and seniors, and I'm very, very sympathetic to both of those groups. Just briefly then, do you see rising costs and rents as a problem, and do you, your organization, association, concerned about this and looking at some other ways to help mitigate the skyrocketing cost of a lot of rents in a lot of other areas?
Absolutely. With scarcity is going to come affordability problems. I mean, when you have 4 individuals looking for a unit, but only 3 units exist, it's fundamental math. We're supporting other items on this ballot, such as, which I don't believe this council took a position on, such as the veteran bond. We are always working in local cities to help encourage development, particularly around transit-oriented development. I know you have the Green Line coming down here. Those are perfect places to plan to help accommodate people into the cities. Torrance, Long Beach, coastal California, all of California is so desirable. The only way to really be able to help bring down these prices and stabilize them is to provide housing for individuals of all income levels, market rate, subsidized, affordable, you name it. So absolutely, we are behind several initiatives that are out there. We supported HHH in the city of Los Angeles and H on the county level to help spur affordable housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't touch the microphone.
Hard to touch it.
Okay, I just want, I'm gonna put a record charges on that.
That's what you should do. Great idea.
Put a sign. I'm Naui. So me as a renter, every year or every 6 months, the rent goes up. It's ridiculous. There's no
control, so these, greedy people take advantage. So what happens is, when people cannot afford to pay the rent, they invite their family or somebody else that's looking for a bedroom, or they end up living in the living room, or a whole family lives in one room. So when that happens is, there's no parking. Many cities, you can't find parking because they're so congested. People are just whole family living in one room, they rent out the living room, so you can't find parking. I don't know about Torrance, but Santana, Orange, Anaheim, people have hard time looking for parking. So you congest the cities, the more the rent goes up, this is what happens, you know? And these greedy landowners, they just keep on raising the rent, they don't care about poor people. Yeah, last night I saw a report of this veteran woman, she's in a wheelchair, she got kicked out, her rent went up. What happened? She's in a wheelchair, she's living out in the park now with all her belongings at a park, and people are still stealing from her. So I don't know if this is a solution or not, but there's gotta be a solution. And, you know, it's like these big corporations, like, for example, the gas companies, they get tax breaks. They don't pay, some of them don't pay taxes. And we're like here fighting for the crumbs, and these corporations get away with all this stuff. These landlords get away with all this stuff, and it's just ridiculous. These people don't care about your average person. They like to say they care about, they're pro-America, they want to make America great again, but these people are just greedy people. And a good example of that is Donald Trump. Thank you very much.
I promise I won't touch the mic. Good evening, Mayor Fury and fellow council members. My name is Talar. I'm here with the No on Proposition 10 campaign, urging you all to accept the committee's recommendation to oppose Prop 10 tonight. I think we're all aware at this point that California has a serious affordability crisis. But unfortunately, Prop 10 is not the answer to the housing crisis. Prop 10 does nothing to reduce rents or address vulnerable communities. If passed, Prop 10 hurts homeowners through reduced property values and loss of supplemental income. According to MIT researchers, the policies authorized in this initiative will reduce property values by more than 10%. This means that the average California homeowner would lose nearly $60,000 in the value of their home. Prop 10 also opens the door to regulations by unelected boards and permanent price caps on all forms of housing, significantly restricting what single-family homeowners can do with their homes. This will have a real impact on people's economic well-being, as homes are most people's single biggest financial investment. Prop 10 will drastically impact the communities who need our assistance, especially our homeless, veteran, and senior populations. Many seniors choose to rent their single-family homes for supplemental income in their retirement years or when they're in assisted living facilities. Prop 10 will threaten this safety net income for many of these seniors. So as you can see, Prop 10 only makes the bad problem worse, which is why it's supported and come together to oppose by a broad coalition of veterans, seniors, and affordable housing experts. For these reasons and more, I kindly urge you to join us in opposing Prop 10 this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, I'll take a motion.
I move to concur with the recommendation on committee.
Second that.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
All right.
Councilmember Griffin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner DeWitt came up and spoke about the voting and what it means if an item was lost in the vote. And on Proposition 3, it lost. I just wanted to ask the mayor or the city attorney, whoever, is there a chance that we can do a substitute motion on that?
Absolutely.
We're still on item 9B, so a substitute motion is made the same night even if we're adopted, so if someone wants to make the motion, they could.
Which number was that?
Proposition 3. I think the motion on that was to support, and that motion lost.
That's correct, it failed, 4-3.
And so the way it's left based on that vote is no position?
Correct, no position.
See, I would like to go ahead and make an alternate motion if I could. And that would be to oppose Proposition 3.
Second.
Quick on the draw.
You wanna go for it? I'll second that.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carries with Councilmember Goodrich, Rizzo, and Mayor Fury voting yes.
All right.
Thank you. Could you move us back around, and then what we'll do is take a recap of the council's position. Ms. Bartone, will you be recapping our position?
Yes, I can do that. Prop 1, no position. Prop 2, no position. Prop 3, opposed.
You have to touch it.
Prop 5, support. Prop 6, support. Prop 10, opposed.
Okay, the results will be posted on the city's website. I'd like to remind everyone to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 6th, 2008. That concludes 9B.
There's a question from Councilman Miller.
Councilmember Rizzo, member Prop 1.
Oh, don't touch the mic. Okay, I'm sorry.
What happens when you touch the mic?
Yeah, I'll remember that.
I believe Prop 5 was no position.
I had it as no position.
And I looked at my notes again. You're correct.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
That concludes item 9B. On to.
All right, the other thing's not as important. We'll be back later.